So today we're going to look at how to make a fantasy rose perfect for Valentine's Day. You're going to need 18 gauge floral wire, some real wire, rose wire or binding wire, has different names, and a little bit of rubber cement. You will also need a little bit of floral tape to hide your mechanics. And now we're ready to start. So we simply take our 11-inch balloons that we're working with. I've actually removed the cut off the bead end, and I'm now going to insert the wire into the balloon. So I just fold the wire in half, stretch the balloon as tightly as I can down the wire, and remove any air. Now we're going to use the binding wire just to make sure that that balloon stays in position, so we wrap it round as tightly as we can, and this will keep the balloon nice and tight onto the wire. To try and keep the flower nice and neat at the stem end, we just trim away all the excess balloon as we go. So what I do is prepare as many petals as I think I'm going to need in advance, and just stretch them open just so that they're in a nice shape before you start to work with them. Now we're going to make the centre of the rose. So for this part we don't actually use any wire. We're just going to take our balloons. Again, the bead end, the roll neck end, has been removed. You can use however many you want. There's no hard and fast rule to this. Take a little bit of your rubber cement and just put it in the middle of the balloons, and this will help when we want to roll them up together. You can actually do this without the rubber cement. It just takes a little bit more control when you're rolling them. So if you don't have any rubber cement, don't panic, you can have a go without. Personally, I would just use a few less balloons for the centre if you're not using the rubber cement. Now you're going to take your balloon and you're going to roll it inwards onto the glue so that it's will stick together, and this is going to form sort of the central part of the rose, the sort of the rose bud centre. And you're going to take your second balloon and do the same again, and you don't want to roll it over the middle one completely because you actually want to see the inner part. You'll see as it builds up. And take another one, and you can see on this one I've actually allowed the tip of the balloon to roll over, and again we're just trying to create this sort of more natural form of a rose, and you just keep building this up until you have a really nice centre part. Okay, I think that's plenty for this one. So once you've made your centre, you're going to put that now onto a floral wire. So just bend the wire over. I'm just using some pinch nose pliers just to make a little hook. Slide it onto the base of the rose, push it nice and tight, and then straighten the rose into position. You now want to connect the rose to the wire, so we're going to use the binding wire at the base of the rose, not at the base of the balloon, because you've got more balloon than you need. You've got the necks, which we're actually going to trim off in a moment. So just at the base of the bud, and now you want to trim away any of the excess. Again, the more you trim away, the tidier you make it at this end, the neater the rose will be, the finished product. Okay. Now you're going to add your petals, and we just take them one at a time, and we're just going to frame around the bud in the centre, just using 2 or 3 petals at a time, and you'll just overlap them just a little bit as you go. Now I'm just going to bind these into position. It means that you can make sure that they're nice and tight before you add any more. If you try and hold 15 or 10, even 10 petals at a time, it's just all going to fall apart, and so it's definitely worth the binding sort of as you go technique. Okay, now we're going to add a few more, And again, we just layer them so that they just slightly overlap every time. Now we're going to go into the middle, you can see. And as you can see, I've shaped some of the petals before I'm adding them. And again, this will give you that really lovely, more authentic look to your rose because the petals are all slightly different shapes. And now I'm going to bind these together. And you can just keep adding petals until you feel that you've added enough. I'm now going to just tidy up the wire end just by using the binding wire just to wrap over any of the loose wires. This just pulls everything neatly together, just keeps it nice and tight. To finish the rose, I'm just going to take some floral tape. There are various different types. This is a paper-based tape, and you just simply wrap it around all your mechanics, so your wires, and just slightly stretch it as you go, and it will neatly cover everything, so it just looks nice and finished as an end result. And here is the completed rose. It's very beautiful and it's perfect for Valentine's Day.